Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So today we have to talk about North Carolina because if there's one race that I had to choose that would be the most closely watched, the most expensive race in the country next fall, it's going to be the North Carolina Senate race. You have a Democrat who was a former governor. He has never ran for a federal race. He had decent approvals. He's very overrated, but still probably the best candidate the Democrats could realistically put up. And then on the Republican side, you have somebody who is, relatively generic, Trump-friendly, a good fit for the state, and very skilled when it comes down to fundraising. And he is probably a very good candidate to run against this fake moderate individual on the other side, because I think if Thom Tillis ran for re-election, I think that Tillis probably would fall short because nobody likes the guy. Independents don't like the guy. The base doesn't like the guy. I don't know who likes the guy. So when you're looking at 2026, you can see that it's a very important state. And you look at the voter registration numbers, and Republicans gained again. They gained not for the third straight week, fifth straight week, not 10 straight weeks, not even 15, but 19 straight weeks. The Republicans have gained in voter registration, and they gained over 1,000. They're getting like 1,000 a week, and the active voter lead currently sits at 94,118. Republicans before this year never, and I mean never in the history of recorded history, have led the Democrats in North Carolina, but they lead the active voter registration, and then the overall registration is bound to flip very soon. 14,000 right now in the Democrats column, in the Democrats lead. And, when you do these routine purges of people that haven't voted in 3 election cycles or whatever, Republicans are going to have the upper hand in the overall lead. The way that these things are going, Republicans gaining among new registrations. And it's like, if Trump is as unpopular as they say he is, why would this be happening? I understand the new economic data was not good. It's not something that we should ignore, and it's something that we need to actually take measures to remedy. And the administration has to do that, or there could be electoral consequences, as there is for every time you see an economy that's not doing so hot. But the truth is the economy has been doing poorly for a very, very long time. You can't really say it's gotten demonstrably worse over the past few months. It's just very sluggish. But if it was really a problem, and Democrats were really capitalizing on it, you wouldn't see numbers like this, because we're past the point of ancestral Democrats are just switching their registrations. Maybe you could make that claim ahead of 2018, where Republicans made a little tiny bit of gain, but not a lot. But we're past that point. We really are. I mean, you're seeing massive shifts to the right, and Republicans, their floor is gaining. They're gaining. And you could see this here. You could look at the history, because this is the old data, as we know. We've gained 5,000 Republican registrations in North Carolina since then. But you look at 2016, Democrats had a lead of 650,000. Then it went down to 390,000, then 276,000. And now it's at 106,000, or it was in 2024. And now it currently sits at, in terms of the active registration, Republicans with a 94,000 lead. And the total registration, Democrats have their lead down to just 14,000 by the end of this year, let alone next year. That's going to flip. And it's not everything. I mean, the Senate race will still be competitive. We understand that. And it is true that Republicans were winning the state when Democrats had a massive registration. But at the end of the day, what it shows is that Republicans, their floor is going up. And when you see trends like this, it is telling. Ahead of 2008, Democrats were surging in registrations. And the opposite is happening now, and it's continued to happen after Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 election. And there's no signs of it slowing down there, or in Pennsylvania, or in Arizona. Nevada's kind of in a seesaw right now, going back and forth. But at the same time, it is true that the overall trend everywhere has been favorable for the Republicans. And when it comes down to North Carolina, it's a very good thing because there is a very crucial election. And the state, in terms of how it's gone lately, we've talked about this before. You have a lot of, I guess you would say, populated Republican counties. And you have like the Charlotte exurbs. And Donald Trump, he improved in some. He might have lost a little tiny bit of ground in others. But the western part of the state has been more favorable to Democrats in recent years because Asheville has grown. It's spilled over into some of these other counties. Places like Charlotte and the Research Triangle. The growth in the Research Triangle is kind of slowed down, but they're blue areas. We understand that. They've gone left in recent years, over the past 10, 15 years, but kind of slowing down. But eastern North Carolina, that region, places like Robeson County. This county was blue, I believe, in 2016, or at least it was close. And then Republicans have surged there. I mean, now they lead it. I know it's not the biggest county in the world, but they're leading it by 28 percentage points. That's insane. And it's not just counties like that. The entire eastern portion, a lot of these counties have flipped Republican for the first time in 2024, or at least for the first time in a long time. You have also, small counties like Anson County. I believe it's a black majority county, but Republicans have done a lot better there in recent years, and the county has flipped. So a lot of, younger black voters, especially rural, they're more likely in North Carolina to vote Republican than they are in like the Black Belt in Georgia, for example. And that kind of boosts Republicans' numbers. Are doing better among, working class white voters. They're holding their own among college-educated white voters. They still vote Republican in North Carolina, and that's crucial because in a midterm year, the college-educated portion of the electorate tends to be a little bit larger than it does in a presidential year. So if you're in like the deep South, or even just the South in general, where the working class is less white and more black, which means that you have a bigger portion of that electorate that votes Democrat, like 90 to 10, maybe it's 85 to 15 now, but that's still a massive Democrat block. When that block's turnout is lower, a lower piece of the pie, essentially, smaller piece of the pie, I should say, then you have Republicans tend to do a little bit better. And even though college-educated voters have trended away, maybe there's some signs of it slowing down as we saw in 2024. We have really yet to see. Does seem like younger voters, as in voters that are like, 24 or under, do tend to be a little bit more Republican favorable, more culturally right-wing. So 2026, this is crucial because you could talk about the propensity dynamics hurting Republicans in a place like Wisconsin in a midterm year, but North Carolina, we talked about the 1st district, for example, which Donald Trump won. It's like the northeastern portion. You have some blue counties there. You have some red counties for sure as well. But at the same time, Ted Budd actually outran Donald Trump in that specific district by a hair. And when you kind of have that dynamic happening, it's like, okay, they won the state by the same amount. Maybe in a midterm year, Republicans are going to be favorable in some places. And that's true. When it comes down to 2026, that really should be no different. And fundraising matters a lot more. And when you're running somebody like a Mike Whatley, Money Mike, because he has a lot of money, against Ray Coper. I know his name is Roy Cooper. We call him Ray Coper because he's going to be coping and his people are coping, saying he's guaranteed victory. It's like he's polling at 47%. Oh, well, he's ahead of Mike Whatley by 6 to 8 points. It doesn't matter because nobody knows who Mike Whatley is yet. And a lot of those undecideds are Republicans. The fact that everybody knows who Roy Cooper is, Ray Cooper, and he can't even crack 50% in a poll, it should kind of make you scratch your head. The polls in New Hampshire, where they were testing Chris Sununu against a generic Democrat, Chris Sununu was in the 50s, and Coper can't even hit 50. He's not that popular as a governor. In 2016, he faced an unpopular Republican incumbent, and he won by like 1,000 votes in a very hotly contested election. And in 2020, he had the COVID bump popularity because that's when Democrat governors became popular due to COVID, because people, for some reason or another, were not quite yet awoken to the restrictions or whatever. And he faced a moderately weak Republican, and he only won by like 4 points. So again, the guy is not an electoral titan by any means. He's a slight overperformer for somebody with that much history in the state and having multiple factors in each race working in his favor. You think he would have done better? I mean, we just saw Josh Stein run for governor and win by 15 points. Yeah, his opponent had a lot of skeletons in his closet. That's true. But even if it wasn't for that, he still probably would have won over the generic Republican by, a couple points. North Carolina likes to split its tickets, but when it comes to the federal level, guess what? They don't really like to split the tickets that much. So all these, predictions tilt D. I think toss-up is fair. I think there's a good chance that Ray Coper could find his way to victory. I think it depends on what the general environment is, but it's going to be very close regardless, and Republicans are very competent in North Carolina, besides the whole Robinson fiasco last year. So regardless, you got a lot of areas in North Carolina that Republicans are capitalizing on. It's like a tug of war. It's a titanium lean Republican state, but the fact that they're padding their registration totals still shows that the state is not showing any signs of willing to, have this massive uprising or surge to elect some Democrat. Although I will say that Ray Coper is relatively strong for a Democrat. He'll make it close. But again, Money Mike has the money, and that can go a long way. That can define a race. The guy's the, former RNC head. And it's kind of funny, Republicans, in the 3 or 4 most competitive Senate races, they're running 3 Mikes and 2 Collinses. Isn't that kind of interesting? Assuming Mike Collins gets the nomination in Georgia, so we'll see about that. But anyways, guys, make sure you guys like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.